Hi, this is 100 and 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Today, we are looking at SUPERHOT VR. SUPERHOT VR is a strategy, puzzler, action game that is also a really unique first-person shooter that we really fell in love with, and we think you'll like this one a lot. We're excited to do a review for you today of SUPERHOT. In our VR Gear game reviews, we cover as many aspects of the game as possible so that you can make an informed decision before you try or buy one of these VR titles. SUPERHOT VR is actually one of our longtime favorite games in VR, one of the first ones we tried here at VR Gear, and we're excited to jump in and start the review with how to get up and running with SUPERHOT VR. SUPERHOT VR is an adaptation for a PC-based game that puts you into a world where time only moves when you move. So as bullets come towards you or men with knives and axes come towards you, they can't take another step in your direction until you yourself move, which allows you to make very strategic decisions on how you move, where you move, and when you move in the game. You'll be able to find this game on the Steam Store, the Oculus Store for both the Rift and the Quest, and you'll find it in the Vive Store as well as the Viveport Infinity Store. This game is also available on PSVR. This is available everywhere that you can buy a VR title, and it is currently selling for $24.99 on all the stores. The download file is 4 gigabytes in size, which should take a reasonable amount of time for you to download, and installation should be automatic, and you'll be able to jump right into the game and get in front of the most interesting game menu you have probably ever experienced. It is more like a computer console with a command prompt where you need to enter in a certain command to get gameplay going. This is reminiscent of the old days when you would interact with the DOS operating system from the command prompt to start any of your applications. But SUPERHOT in VR allows you to put on a headset and then interact with the world through actual movements of your body in the game, which really makes this game a super unique VR experience among all the other games. SUPERHOT VR is a first-person shooter, and it's an action game as well as a puzzle game. It's also a stop-motion animation type game where you get to freeze time by freezing yourself and make very strategic moves every time you move. You can try to run through the game fast, but you will die even faster. So this game really requires you to make deliberate moves in deliberate directions to avoid being hit and to make sure that you can throw or shoot the bad guys from whatever direction they're coming from. You'll play this game from the first-person perspective. You're able to see your hands as well as whatever weapon you are holding in your hands at any given time. The weapons you'll hold range from bottles to axes to knives to cups, pans, guns of all kinds, as well as other objects that you're able to pick up in your surroundings. The theme of this game is super unique and lots of fun and is really novel in the VR game space. It introduced what would be considered a brand new genre for virtual reality by bringing the stop motion and the time moves when you move type of gameplay into a realm that is perfectly suited for it. This game can be played on PC, but it's so much better in VR because it requires you to have a very keen awareness of your surroundings, which requires you to look around in all directions to make sure that you are not going to be hit by something from behind or the sides or below or above. This game is a perfect match for VR. The controls in this game are very straightforward. Your triggers will fire a gun, the grip button will grab an object, and holding the grip button will keep that object in your hand until you release the grip button. And this allows you to throw objects, pick up objects, and make a fist to punch objects or people, which you might have to do quite often if you don't have a weapon. The buttons are very straightforward, they're very clean and very easy to use, and getting used to them is a very natural experience. The SUPERHOT developers did a great job with the controls in this one, and they won't be very hard to learn at all as you jump into the game. For music and sound, this game doesn't have any music going on at all, but you are able to hear the bullets as they're firing from guns, the glass as it shatters against the ground or against the person that you're hitting, the glass as it breaks because everyone else is made out of glass. When you hit someone with a bullet, with your fist, with an axe or a bat or whatever it is you're using to hit or shoot, the opponents will shatter like glass. They're red glass walking all around you. It's pretty unique, and that shattering sound lets you know that something has broken. Hopefully it was the enemy and not you. Another interesting element of the sound is you're able to use your weapons, like a knife, to hit bullets out of the air, and there's a unique and satisfying slicing of a bullet sound, metal on metal, as you do that. This actually is part of gameplay that you'll have to master at some point when you don't have a weapon, and the only thing you can do to avoid getting hit is to knock bullets out of the air as they are suspended, waiting for you to either be hit or have you slice them with your knife. This game is all about player movement, or the lack of movement, and it's up to you to decide how much you move, when you move, and how fast you move. The most interesting thing about your movement is that there's an exponential response to how quickly you move. If you move slow, you're able to move greater distances without the world around you responding to how much you've moved. If you move quickly, the world around you also moves quickly. Not just a little quicker, a lot quicker than when you move slowly. So the strategy is move slowly and deliberately, and don't waste any movements that aren't necessary for you to either grab a weapon, dodge a bullet, or make a punch or make a hit on your opponent. This game is all about movement. And you'll be crouching down on the floor, you'll be leaning up against the wall, you'll want to pay attention to where your guardian is. I had to look down out of the bottom of my headset several times to just make sure I was oriented properly in the real world, because you will get disoriented in this game. Not in a dizzy way, but you won't know which way's forward by the time the next level happens. Or when you take the headset off, you'll be surprised which direction you're facing now. Having said that, movement is absolutely crucial. This game is going to track your movement very well, so make sure you have a great big play area for this one. You won't play this one standing or sitting. You'll definitely be playing this one at room scale. We recommend the Oculus Quest or one of the higher end headsets like the Vive or the Index or the Rift if you can have those in an untethered fashion. But you'll want to play this one in an untethered way if possible, or you'll want to suspend your tether above you so that you're not getting tangled as you play the game. You don't have to worry too much about rotation during gameplay because, like I said, you are moving slowly and deliberately, but you do want to make sure that as you're moving slowly and deliberately, you're not tripping over your cable. So suspend the cable above you or just go untethered for this one. This game has virtually no motion sickness. You will not experience it at all in any aspects of the game. The only time that I felt a slight motion sickness was when my headset was handing off between Vive and Steam and whatever else application was running in the background, but that had nothing to do with SUPERHOT. The game SUPERHOT is actually a very moderate game. It is not intense as far as movement goes, and that's by design. Your job is to be deliberate in your movements, which means you'll be slow in your movements. And your movements are tracked perfectly from the real world to the virtual world. This is what we would consider a perfect implementation of movement in VR, and you will not experience motion sickness while playing this game. The environment and immersion in this game is incredibly captivating. You will feel so immersed in this game, even though it is a low poly game with flat colors, with very simplistic settings. The reason that you'll feel so immersed is because of the type of gameplay that you are going through. You will really be immersed and very aware of everything that's going on. In fact, you'll get to the point where you'll be memorizing how many bullets from what direction and which bad guy will take which step next, because you'll have to master this sort of slow motion dance to get past some of the more advanced levels. All right, so let's look at the scorecard for SUPERHOT VR, starting with story and theme. We are giving this game a very high score of a 9 out of 10, and that has everything to do with this very unique theme that is not found in very many places anywhere in the gaming world, and we really enjoyed this one. So a 9 out of 10 for story and theme. For controls in this game, we are giving it a perfect score of 10 out of 10. You're able to grab things and it is responsive. You're able to fire your weapon and it is responsive. Everything is so precise in the way that you move, grab, fire, throw, interact. The controls were done so well and SUPERHOT. They get a perfect score of a 10 out of 10. For music and sound, we are giving this game a 6 out of 10. That is a slightly above average score, but it is definitely not the best score we've given for music and sound. There's a lot of sound that we wish was in the game, but just isn't there at all. We understand that it's part of the style of the game, but that is no excuse for not having a good audio experience. As a result, a 6 out of 10 for music and sound, because there's a lack of music and sound in this game. For player movement, we're giving this game a perfect score of 10 out of 10. This game is the gold standard for how to move in VR. Even the slow movements that you're making in the real world are very well mapped to the virtual world. And since gameplay is so dependent on movement, getting this right is everything for SUPERHOT. And they delivered. The game executed very well with player movement, so this game gets a 10 out of 10. For motion sickness, this game is getting a perfect score of 10 out of 10. There is virtually no motion sickness at all anywhere in the game. It is the most moderate game we've ever played in VR, and we really think that this is a fantastic title for people who are sensitive to motion sickness, or a title that you would like to introduce newcomers to VR to so that they can learn to love the platform, learn to love the gameplay, and play a game that doesn't get them motion sick. So a perfect score of 10 out of 10 for motion sickness. And finally, for environment and immersion, we're giving this game an 8 out of 10. This game would have had a near perfect score or a perfect score if the audio was done better. The music and sound is what pulls this score down. But otherwise, the environment and the immersion were second to none. The gold standard in making sure you feel immersed. This game is right there, setting a high bar for everyone else to reach. You feel so engaged, so immersed. The only thing that is frustrating in the game is when you don't pass a level, but it's easy to jump right back in. You are right back in the game, doing your slow motion dance to dodge bullets, fire your weapon, grab objects, throw them across the room, and slow motion your way to victory. The environment is incredibly immersive, and we loved playing this one. And now for the overall score for SUPERHOT VR, we are giving this game an 8.8 out of 10. This is tied for the highest score that we've given any game in our 100 in 100 game reviews. We are very impressed with SUPERHOT VR. The game developers did an outstanding job executing a brand new game mode that really makes you think strategically, move your body deliberately, and be very meticulous in how you interact with the environment. The controls enable that, the gameplay enables that, and the movement in VR is a perfect place to experience SUPERHOT. We highly recommend you go play this game. You can get it on any of the VR stores. It's $24.99 currently. Sometimes there's discounts, but this game is well worth the money, and we really recommend you go grab it. This has been 100 in 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can be notified tomorrow when we release another VR game review.